Small Town Monsters' Eli Watson has released a trailer/review of Daniel Perez's Bigfoot at Bluff Creek, and here it is. Well, here it is. Oh wait, it's muted. Sorry about that. Didn't realize it was muted.
Hey everyone, it's Eli Watson, and I'm here to discuss with you today a new book by Daniel Perez. It's called Bigfoot at Bluff Creek, a pictorial discussion. This book covers the events of the Patterson-Gimlin film. Now, I hear what you're saying. You're like, the Patterson-Gimlin film has been done to death. Well, I'll tell you why this book is different. Daniel Perez has been researching the Patterson-Gimlin film for decades, and he prefaces this book by saying that it is his notebook. We're getting a glimpse inside of his notebook, decades worth of research, and I cannot emphasize enough how important this is as a historical work. I mean, you have everything from small biographies of Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin to the actual order of events that happened that day in 1967, all the way to the aftermath and the kind of whole controversy around the film itself. I mean, all of that is in here, and he pulls from all these great sources and compiles them all together in one central location. I mean, if you're going to have one book on the Patterson-Gimlin film, it's got to be Bigfoot at Bluff Creek, a pictorial discussion by Daniel Perez. This book is chock full of high quality photographs. Many of them have never even seen the light of day before. If you want to get down to the bottom of the Patterson-Gimlin film, if you want to know the circumstances surrounding all of it, who Roger Patterson was, who Bob Gimlin was, I mean, this is the book to pick up, because all of this information that's presented here in this book, a lot of it I didn't even know. This book is a fantastic work of research. I mean, it is beautifully presented. I mean, the pages themselves are this nice glossy format. It's high quality. When you hold it in your hands, you can tell Daniel Perez put a lot of effort and hard work into making this book. I cannot recommend this enough. So if there's a Bigfoot lover in your life and you're looking to get them a gift, or if you want to pick something up to have on your shelf amongst all your other Bigfoot books, I mean, this is the crown jewel. Seriously, go pick it up. To pick up a copy, email Daniel Perez at perez952@sbcglobal.net. This book is definitely worth the money, and you will learn so many things about the Patterson-Gimlin film that you never knew before. I guarantee it. So, with that said, go grab a copy. What are you waiting for? And I'll see you in the next one.
Such an excellent review. Really good review. And I have nothing more to add, to be quite honest. Other than there is another way to get the book. And I'll talk about it in a little bit. But for right now, we're going to move on to the next story. And funnily enough, the next story involves also Daniel Perez. Most of what I'm discussing this week involves Daniel Perez in some form. Bigfoot researcher, Patterson-Gimlin film shows real female Sasquatch. In a recent video from the YouTube channel Yesterday Remembered, Bigfoot researcher Daniel Perez discusses the iconic Patterson-Gimlin film, a topic that is sure to excite any Bigfoot enthusiast. The film, which was shot in Northern California in 1967, allegedly shows a female Bigfoot or Sasquatch walking on a sandbar. Perez, who has been studying the film for decades, is confident that what was depicted in the film is a real female Bigfoot. He points to the mammary glands or breasts that are visible in the film as evidence of the subject's femininity. Perez also notes that the film has been subject to extensive scrutiny and analysis, including stabilization and slow motion analysis, which can be found on YouTube. One of the most controversial theories surrounding the film is that it is simply a man in a gorilla suit. However, Perez argues that this theory does not hold up, as no one has been able to successfully recreate the suit or the movements of the subject in the film. He also points out that the risk of being shot while wearing a gorilla suit in the woods during hunting season would have been extremely high. Perez also addresses the claims made by Bob Hieronymus that he was the man in the suit. Perez notes that Hieronymus' claim did not come to light until the late 1990s, and that Hieronymus' height and build do not match those of the subject in the film. So, this is actually from Daniel Perez's recent appearance on Coast to Coast AM almost a month ago. So I do highly recommend everybody check it out. It's great stuff. It's finally available on YouTube, which is a good thing. On the PBS series Museum Alive with David Attenborough, he asks, was Bigfoot real? And here's the video.
Back in 1951, the famous Himalayan explorer and mountaineer Eric Shipton came across some huge footprints in a high snowfield that looked as if they'd been made by some kind of giant ape. Shipton's Sherpa companions had no doubt about what had made them: a yeti, an abominable snowman. Well, there is one small specimen acquired by the museum and kept in its vaults that might just explain those prints. It was found in a shop in Hong Kong that sold Chinese traditional medicines. It was the molar tooth of some kind of ape-like creature, except that it was huge. The museum has only got a fragment. This is it. But here's a cast of a complete one, and it's 6 times the size of one of ours. It was given the name Gigantopithecus, giant ape. After that discovery, 1 or 2 more teeth were discovered, but nothing much until eventually a piece of the lower jaw was found. The original is now in America. This is the cast, but here is the lower jaw. If this animal had a skull with the same proportions as those of a gorilla, its complete skull would have been this big. This was a true monster. So we know a huge ape did exist, Gigantopithecus. He could well have stood 3 meters tall, in which case it would have been 8 times as heavy as I am. And if you're as heavy as that, you don't spend much time climbing in trees because they won't support you. So the likelihood is that his arms are quite short and he walked upright. He was bipedal. Get out of the way.
So they injected a bit of humor into it with Attenborough confronting an AI Yeti or Sasquatch. But it's an interesting segment, and I thought you guys might enjoy that. So that is from Museum Alive with David Attenborough. And I think Attenborough has always been open-minded to the possibility of giant apes existing, if they're related to Gigantopithecus. For the longest time, I thought perhaps there was a possibility they were related to Gigantopithecus, but I'm not so sure about it now. I don't believe they are related to Gigantopithecus. They may be. I may be wrong about that. But you never know. And here's something interesting. Bigfoot versus the Jersey Devil. A gorilla-like wild man and the Jersey Devil compete for headlines as they terrorized southern New Jersey in the summer of 1927. For centuries, residents of southern New Jersey were accustomed to periodic visits from the abominable Jersey Devil. It often appears during August, wrote the Atlantic City Daily Press during that very sweltering month in the summer of 1927. It has cloven hoofs, a long tail, and eyewitnesses claim it makes an uncanny noise as it leaps over the pumpkin vines. But that year, another monster arrived to steal headlines away from other leads as a little boy. A tall and hairy, Bigfoot-like wild man who had a strange proclivity for snatching and defacing vehicle tires. The Wild Gorilla Man. Gloucester County may have its Jersey Devil, but Salem County has its own Wild Man of the Woods, wrote the Camden Evening Courier on August 27th. The Wild Man, said to be a big, tall, brute, hairy but otherwise unclad, is being sought by numerous searching parties throughout this section. Residents in the vicinity of Quinton and Sharptown are especially active, inasmuch as he has been reported in both sections more often than anywhere else. According to the breathless tales of those who say they have seen this mysterious individual, he is said to be ferocious of countenance but very shy. They say he has the speed of an antelope and, with just one exception accredited to him, has done nothing to prove he is a wild man. The one exception involved Thomas Smith, a 15-year-old boy who lived on Quinton Road. Smith was riding his bicycle about 2 miles north of Salem when he spotted someone peering out at him from the woods. Suddenly, what Smith described as a big, hairy man without any clothes jumped out from the trees, slashed the tires of his bicycle. Wait a minute. And then chased the boy along a cornfield. Smith escaped back home to his father, and they reported the incident to Sheriff J. M. Robinson. The sheriff launched a manhunt at once, accompanied by several local officers, a group of state troopers, and about 25 citizens. The posse scoured the woods and fields, searching for a long-haired, bearded individual who they suspected might have escaped from a lunatic asylum, but the elusive wild man left nary a trace, no footprints nor any other clues. Now, supposedly it stole and defaced some tires. What would a Sasquatch want with tires? It doesn't seem to make much sense to me. It could have been just a regular human that someone thought was hairy, big and hairy. Could have been a very tall individual with hypertrichosis, for all we know. But the person, if it was a person, was apparently naked. So, was it a Bigfoot? I'll include the link to this in the description down below and let you guys decide. And going back to Daniel Perez, he recently appeared on Bigfoot and Beyond with Cliff and Bobo. And here is the page. Of course, I'll include the link to this in the description box down below so you guys can download this for yourself. Now, you do have to sign up for Spreaker, but it's completely free. It's no big deal, so if you want to listen to this podcast, you can. With Daniel Perez, with Cliff and Bobo hosting, and Matt Pruitt producing. So you guys check it out one time, won't you? And finally, remember I said there was an alternate way to order Daniel Perez's Bigfoot at Bluff Creek? Well, here it is. It's on his website. He has upgraded his website to where he has a shop button up top. It's still BigfootTimes.net, by the way. But he has a shop button, and you can go to this page and order Bigfoot at Bluff Creek. I think you can use PayPal and credit cards, debit cards, whatever you got. But here's another way to order the book besides using email and besides using PayPal. I mean, you could do it either way, but still, I think it's a lot easier to do this with a website. That's just me, though. That's just how I look at it. Let's see what he's got in his shop anyway. He has the Bigfoot Times membership, yearly membership. He still has copies of his Bigfoot Times fold-out postcard of the Patterson-Gimlin film site. Of course, Bigfoot at Bluff Creek. And he still has copies of his Big Footnotes book available, interestingly enough. Now, I have a copy of it myself that I got off eBay a few years ago. And for those who peruse libraries, this is a wonderful resource to find magazines and newspapers that may have articles on Sasquatch or the Yeti or related beings. Of course, everything is accessible through the World Wide Web now. But this was written in 1988, so back then there was no World Wide Web, except perhaps with the military. So you could go to this book, you could look up different resources, and there's also a listing of different documentaries and movies related to Sasquatch and Yeti. So it's still a good resource. It may be a bit outdated, but it's still a good resource. So if you can, I recommend getting a hold of this one too. And I would do it before it's all gone, because it could be all gone tomorrow. You never know. And that's going to do it for this week. We want to thank you very much for tuning in. You guys are the heart of the show. I always say that, but I always mean it, and I will continue to do this as long as you guys want me to. And for the past decade, I've been doing this. And I will not stop now. I can tell you that much. And by the way, and I haven't promoted my UFO corner in a while, but I've still got that going on. And the most recent UFO corner talks about Canadian UAP investigations perhaps being conducted up in the Great White North. So you guys can check that one out as well. And until next week, y'all be good or be good at it. This has been HBM's Crypto Corner. Cryptid-Corner. I keep calling it Crypto Corner. By the way, I've changed the name of the show because people were getting confused and trying to get crypto tips from me. So I've changed it to Cryptid-Corner. That's why I changed the name. But anyway, y'all be good or be good at it. This is HBM's Cryptid-Corner.